What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today is, well, it's divco teardown chassis day, where we tear the chassis down and then we build it back up with some air ride, some 4-link, some cabin chassis rear end, because we're going to narrow this rear end because we got to get a dually tucked under the body of this thing. Well, it's not going to be as easy as you think, or as I think either, because I've already done some measuring, and then I did some planning, and then I remeasured, did some more planning because my first plan is not going to work out. And I think I'm on plan D right now as far as powertrain, running train, drivetrain, all that good trains. So stick around. We're going to see if we can get this thing from this to looking like this. Well, there you go. We got the front half done. Back's about to start getting torched out of here, other than for my ringing ears, because, well, we've been air hammering, torching, plasma cutting, all kinds of cutting things. My ears are still ringing, so I'm going to give those a break, and then we're going to move on to the back. And then, well, it's going to be build-up time. Try to figure out what we're going to do to put, well, I've got a whole new rear end, a whole new front end that's going inside of this. Well, let's just keep moving. All right, so we got the frame all stripped down. We've got the rear end on the back. We've got the front on the front where they belong. And, well, you know, Brandon over here decided we're going to pop some measurements so we do this correct the first time, even though we messed it up the last 2 or 3 times because we didn't find our center lines when we pulled out the front suspension nor the rear suspension. So we had to go measure wheel wells. Then we had to line up body mounts to wheel wells. Then we had to make sure body holes match up to our centering. It was a pain in the butt. So we wrote everything down, okay, right there. So the front divco, we measured at 74 inches, and the front dually of this new suspension is 81. So we need to find 7 inches. However, when we measured for this front end, we measured to the outside of the lug nuts or the lug studs. That way we can get some sort of tuck. So I wasn't sitting right where the tire's sitting right on the frame or right on the body line, the fender, whatever that thing's called, wheel well. So we have a couple inches to play with there. Anyways, so from the frame to the outside of this is 22. We measured that was 21 or 22 and a half. Let's just measure it again. I think it was 21 and a half. Yeah, you see that? We're gonna call it 21 and a half to the outside of the lugs, plus this side, which is also gonna be 21 and a half. That's gonna give me 43 inches, okay? 43 inches from the outside of my frame or whatever I'm doing. Now the frame on the divco, this is our center mark here, outside to outside is 31. So the 31 plus 22 plus 22, that is going to come out to 75. Now you're going to say that's well over that 74, which is about an inch over. But remember, we measured to the outside of the lug studs. So those can go in, and we're going to have an offset for those wheels. So we're going to be able to come back in about a half, 2.5, about 3 inches, we'll call it 2 inches to be safe, on each side and still not hit that fender well. So that's where our math's working out. And this is where we're at now. We need to start ripping this thing apart, figuring out what brackets we need to build for the frame. And that's it. All right, here's the idea. We've got the whole frame there. We're not using any of that section there. We've got the driver's side and passenger side upper and lower control arms, pretty much the whole suspension setup. Now we got to figure out how to get the top mounted on the bottom, and then we got to build some sort of bracket on the bottom half. Well, that's where it gets tricky. All right, I think I have a plan. All right, try to stick with me because I barely stuck with myself when I was trying to make this up in my brain. So here is the stock control member off of that dually chassis I have. So rather than narrowing this, I'm going to get rid of this whole center section, just kind of make some brackets on the outside of here. So there's my center mark somewhere in there. Those two holes, 1 and 2, are my upper control arm mounts. Now, on the stock setup, if you look, they're offset a little bit here and a little bit in the back. That offset is to allow these ears not to hit anything on the frame. So put that there, just kind of mock it up, and took some measurements, took some whatever, and cut these plates out on my table. These plates are going to be basically like that. Okay. So if we were to stick this beside it, which it's actually going to go here, but it'll sit on the side of the frame like so. Those holes match those holes. The offset here and offset here, that's where there's like a taper into it. It's skinnier here and thicker here. That's this offset for the bolts, because the original frame, actually, look, there's a gap here and there's not a gap there. So the original frame, the angle of these front horns were actually in more. So now I've got to figure out or make up the gap here with this bracket. So what I'll do is I'll take the stock hardware and put that through there. I'll weld this in there, and that will be my stud for holding on my upper control arm. Well, in my head, that works. It seems to be working so far. So we're just going to keep pressing on, get the upper control arms in. They are kind of back behind the center line because I want some sort of negative caster on this. Just a little bit, not too much, but kind of what the stock version was on this dually chassis. So let's get that mounted on the frame and then just kind of keep building down, meaning upper control arm down to the lower control arm, and see if a spindle falls up on that center line. All right, on to this lower control arm. I have taken probably, I think, 1,706 different measurements, 37 different angles, and looked at it probably 27 different ways to get where I think I want it to be. And I think I've got a plan now, okay? So for the lower control arm, these are the mounts coming up through the crossmember. There's one here. There's one back there. I actually took a laser and kind of shot between here and here. There is my through point, my through line. So it's pretty parallel to the frame, which the lower control arms, they really should be mounted that way. And I did misspoke. I did misspeak earlier. I was talking about I wanted a little bit of negative caster that was backwards. I'm going to be needing positive caster. I went back and watched the video. Well, anyways, anything ball joint wise, if this is the line, anything sitting back like towards the towards the steering wheel, that is considered positive caster. Anything forward of that ball joint, or your ball joint sitting forward of the center of the wheel, is considered negative caster. I don't want negative caster. I want positive caster. So that's where I'm at right now. I have decided to take these mounting brackets, and instead of them coming this way at an angle, I'm just going to, because it's a L frame on mine, it's just going to take and rotate them bushings up and figure out a mount that pretty much comes down, hooks up the bottom, and then tapers up somehow. So what does that look like? Well, if we come over here to the old screen, it's going to look something like, and if I'll pick it up like this. These are the offsets, or the way the bolt patterns are. There'll be a kick in it here to kind of offset the frame, and then that's horrible. It doesn't pick it up very good. So I'll just have to show you kind of my mock-up version. Here is the mock-up version. There's the this is be mounted to the frame. There's my offset, and then these are the patterns for those, or these are the holes for the lower control arm mounting hardware to slide through the side. They're going to be coming in. Got too many angles here. The bolts will be coming in this way, and what I'm going to do is now I have to figure out a bracket system from here out, come about 1 inch out, and kind of mock and diagonal up to the top of the frame. Which, well, it just so happened I already have it kind of made up. Just got to find out where I put it. Plating. Now, I spent probably a good 3 hours trying to figure this out because my CAD program doesn't do 3D. I need to get one that's 3D, and my brain needs to see it on the TV or on a piece of paper. So I went from paper to cardboard to poster board to this. I want to do this in 2 pieces. I don't want to just cut a bunch of triangles, squares, whatever else, and just keep welding everything together. I want to try to fold everything over like a box and kind of make it 2 pieces for this entire mount. So if I ever have to do, I mean, I don't know how many other divco vans I'm going to do in the future, but if I have some, at least I have now everything together. So this transformer face looking thing right here, that is, let's see if I can get it a little bit closer up. That is the box. If this will pick it up, let's back up a little bit. Nope. Anyways, that is the box that's going to go on the outside of that plate I just showed you. And well, it just so happens, I've got that piece right here. All right, it's going to be much easier having you guys understand for a second. So remember, this is the frame, this is the lower control arm. They're going to be coming in, bolting behind it. And well, somehow, this little guy, we got to do some more brakes and all this other stuff to make it fit a little bit better. But the idea, this will be welded to the frame. This is kind of the box cover, nice and thick, nice and boxy. And well, that is sort of the idea. Now I had to go back in. This is just template stuff because, well, this is what I can adjust on. It's just thin stainless, and it's easy to kind of mark on and then put it back on the table and just kind of cut it around. So that was the rough version of it. And well, once it's all together, which I may have already done that too. So that is what it's going to look like. So this is the outside piece I was just telling you about. The inside is some more trailing in there, kicks up, goes to the frame. Now I haven't welded it to the frame yet, even though it is in its home. It needs to drop down about a half an inch, so I got to figure out some more blocking to kind of hold it because I don't have a third hand. And then I'll cap the top. Let's see. Now, how did I come up with that and why? Right here, this is ride height, okay? Now, the frame is only, but I think 3 or 4 inches off the ground. And you might be thinking, well, that's slammed down. No, it's not. I want these control arms parallel at my ride height. So my bags, I believe, have 10.5 inches of travel, can evenly go up and evenly go down. And those lower control arms will articulate together. So it does look slammed. It's not slammed, okay? I've already considered, I know my wheel and tire setup is going to be 32 inches. Half of that's 16. Right now I am set to 11 inches to the center of that. Add another 5 to the bottom of that. There's my 16. So this is actually going to be up 5 more inches when those control arms are parallel. So yeah, there you go. I know someone's going to be sitting there looking at this going, you got this thing on the ground, you're setting it to parallel. I don't know, there's going to be all kinds of, well, hopefully there's a whole kinds of comments on this, but I'm sure there's somebody out there wondering why it's doing that and what is happening there. But there you go. There's my thought process. So why didn't I just take this cross member and just, schwack it down the middle, take 3 inches out and put it on there? Well, like I mentioned earlier, these frame angles are a little bit different. The angle, let's see, actually the frame's right here. The angle of that frame and the angle of this frame don't go together. They don't like to jive. They're not working out too well. So instead of me having to make some wedge plates or whatever, I just felt like I wanted to make a new cross member because I've sectioned cross members before and easy, right? So let's try to think outside the box. Let's try to grow a little bit and, well, I get a little bit better on working on that table over there as well. Plus, there's the engine that's going into it. We've got an LS and a 4L80 somewhere over there. I want to build the own crossmember for that as well. Sectioning this crossmember here. It's going to take out a lot of the mounts that were going to be there for this LS swap. And now I get to make a new crossmember for that as well. I should be able to tie the motor mounts into the top of those lower control arm brackets, make my own bracket, and I can adjust accordingly versus being stuck with that crossmember and trying to build from that crossmember to that. Why not just build the mounts and tailor it to the frame I'm building? Well, there you go. That is my that's my plan. That's what you get to see from my brain to your your living room. So let me go ahead and get the other side cut out. Now that I've already got templates, I've already got files made, I just got to pretty much hit print on that there machine. And it's going to print them out. I'm going to weld them in. We should have both sides done, I don't know, in about 2 minutes.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
All right, there you go. That is it. Lower control arm brackets are built. I still obviously got to finalize box on the top, finish welding everything out. There will be obviously a support bracket going between here, kind of tying everything together. And it's going to also tie for the motor mounts for that LS engine, like I mentioned earlier. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I know it took me probably a good day, full day, trying to figure out the math on this, trying to figure out, making sure I get it pretty much spot on to what the stock configuration was. And well, I'm within 0.1 degree and everything as far as front to back, as far as the brackets go, I'm within a 16th. So very happy with the way it turned out. Let's get you one last look. This is kind of the finished product for this upper control arm brackets. I'll get it kind of flush mounted to the top there. Like I said, I will be boxing the top end here. And I will be boxing the frame in pretty much from here all the way back on both sides. And well, there you go. That is, well, that's the front. Well, that is it. That is a wrap for today's video. I appreciate everybody sticking around to the end. Drop a comment down there to let me know what you guys think about this, or, you know, probably tell me how I could have done it better as well, because I'm all ears when it comes to this kind of stuff. Huge shout out to STV CNC. They have been a huge help in me trying to understand and learn this. Their programming, the whole table. I've never owned a table like this before, so they were very, very generous when it came to me purchasing one, and they have been very, very generous and gone above and beyond as far as customer service and kind of getting my head wrapped around all of this. So if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, you know, there's that share button. Share this out to your friends. Hit that like, hit that dislike, drop me a comment. We will see you guys next time.